The house is called Boleskine House.
Okay.
Guess where it's located?
Boleskine?
On the shores of Loch Ness.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's one of the only houses there. And apparently...
Does Jimmy Page still live there? I want to visit this house.
He sold it in 1992,
Okay.
and the house burned down in 2015.
Dude.
But we're going to get to that.
Okay,
We're going to get to
sorry.
that. This site that the house is built on is the site of an ancient cemetery and Scottish church, also known as a kirk, as they would call it. Listen to this.
Sure.
The Kirk of Boleskine is what it's known as. It's an ancient Scottish church. And according to a historian, this is psycho. You're not going to believe this. I hope you're sitting down at home.
I'm sitting down.
In apparently there was, I don't know what you would call this, a pastor. So the guy who ran the church parish named Thomas Houston,
Sure.
who lived from 1648 to 1705. Apparently he was in charge of the Boleskine church and had to go to battle with a local notorious wizard named Oncrunier Freisal, which translates to the Fraser Crowner or maker of circles. Listen to this.
You got me hooked with. He had to go to battle with a wizard.
He had to go to battle with a Scottish wizard because the wizard had raised the bodies of corpses in the churchyard, and Thomas had to, quote, make haste to lay them to rest again.
Okay.
This happened in sometime between 1648 and 1705. Sometime later, after the zombies were put back in their graves at this site where the house was built, the church is said to have burned to the ground during a sermon, killing everyone inside. Now, if that is not already the site of some fucked up haunted shit, we have wizards raising zombies, and then the parish who puts the zombies back in the grave all die in a fire inside the church.
I can't not imagine a fucking like wizard, like a Merlin ass wizard.
Yeah, in like the year 1670. Exactly,
with like
Johnny.
long fucking fingernails.
Exactly. This is Mega Strange at its finest. Check this out. Moving forward, a bishop in 1762 found the church in such disrepair that he reported that human bones had littered the grounds, so much to the point that dogs would come and chew on the bones and carry them around.
Okay.
Dogs.
Sounds like a Bloodborne level.
Hellhounds. Again, we're talking about these dogs.
Okay.
I just want to tell this story to reinforce the point that this is some fucked up, dark, demonic grounds.
Demonic crazy.
This is the spot where dark shit happens, and we haven't even scratched the surface of it. So soon after the bishop found the church, Colonel Archibald Fraser bought the property and started building what would become Boleskine House on the charred remains of the church. The house remained in the Fraser family until the year 1899, when it was sold to a 23-year-old named Aleister Crowley.
Oh, shit.
23 years old.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about it. Aleister Crowley, is that the guy? There's like that famous photo of like that dude with the little triangle hat on.
That's him.
That's him? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
He was supposedly a Satanist.
Yeah.
He came up with that term, do what thou will.
Okay.
But he was also a member of a New Age secret society spiritual movement called the Golden Dawn, which had Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes, and there was a lot of like famous poets and artists of the turn of the century era were members of the Golden Dawn. But apparently the Golden Dawn broke up because Aleister Crowley would cause so much infighting and basically like made a movement to leave it.
Dude, Aleister Crowley's sick.
All right, you're on board.
He has an Ozzy song written about.
So by the time Aleister Crowley takes control of Boleskine House, this place is already haunted and evil as shit.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why he wants it to do his super black magic ritual. But before the ritual happens, apparently he becomes overjoyed because the evidence of the evil spirits that are already there reveal themselves by afflicting the locals of the Boleskine House area. So there's a story that an employee of the estate supposedly got drunk one night after 20 years of abstinence and tried to kill his wife and children.
Okay.
That's one story. After Aleister Crowley took possession of the house, the groundskeeper went crazy, Shining style, tried to murder his wife and child. Apparently, Aleister Crowley's lodge keeper, a man named Hugh Gillies, also suffered a series of tragedies. First, his 10-year-old daughter died suddenly at her school desk. And then 1 year later, his 15-month-old son died of convulsions on his mother's knee.
I feel like every modern like horror franchise has like come from this.
Possibly.
Like The Shining, Ghostbusters, like all that stuff.
Now, apparently there was a film crew from the BBC that went to this house in 2002 to film a documentary about it called The Other Loch Ness Monster, referring to this house.
That's cool.
And they recorded so many freaky things happening to them, they had to document it.
Dude.
We'll get more to them later. But I want to talk about the ritual that he bought the house for.
Sure.
So apparently he needed a very specific architecture. Essentially, he needed a house in more or less a secluded area. There needed to be a door facing the north, a room which you could make your oratory, as he called it. And outside this door, you construct a terrace covered in fine river sand. And this would constitute a lodge where the spirits could congregate.
This is genuine. Like, I have chills right now. I'm imagining this man just in this giant house, which is like a room that's empty called the oratory. Like, that's freaking me out.
Oh, he wasn't alone. He was like having orgies and sacrificing animals. That's what the ritual was. Now, apparently he wrote about his experiments in this house and said, the demons and evil forces had congregated around me so thickly that they were shutting off the lights. It was a comforting situation. There could be no more doubt of the efficiency of the operation.
Holy shit.
That was his reports on this. It is said that Crowley had summoned 115 spirits into the house, including Lucifer, as reported by the BBC when they were making their documentary.
Dude, more than the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. No, the Haunted Mansion is 999.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
So not quite as many as the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, he embarked on a 6-month power-giving black magic ceremony, but it was interrupted in the middle of the ritual by his Grand Master, the head of the Golden Dawn, who had called him back to Paris. It is claimed that Aleister Crowley did not have time to banish the spirits he had brought to Boleskine. So that's when things got really fucked up.
Okay.
Eventually, he moved out of the house. And Aleister Crowley was around in like 1911 up to through the 20s and 30s, kind of the same time as Robert Johnson, who we were just talking about.
Okay.
So another guy buys the house and in the mid-1960s commits suicide in Aleister Crowley's room, shooting himself in the head with a shotgun. But what is strange about this is the suicide was predicted by his 78-year-old groundskeeper, a woman who said that 1 week earlier, she had heard a gunshot coming from the bedroom, and she thought that something had happened to the owner, but she went in there and found that nothing had gone on. But then 1 week later, she went in there at the same time and found that he had died of a gunshot. And she said that when she went in, she found a dog playing with the bone. Police later determined the bone was part of the man's skull.
Shit.
So again, we have dogs chewing on bones on the grounds of Boleskine House.
You know, it's funny. Before we got into this episode, I was debating about talking about the band Mayhem and all the craziness that happened with them. And I was like, I don't want to get too dark. And then this is like, I'm like, damn, I should have done it.
Well, these are ghost stories and scary stories.
It's definitely not as evil as the Mayhem shit.
Okay. Have you ever heard of so that happened in 1965.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the filmmaker Kenneth Anger?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Kenneth Anger.
Well, apparently Kenneth Anger went to this house in 1969 And at that time, it is said he witnessed a heavy painting float off the wall and come to rest on the floor. The following year, Jimmy Page bought the house.
Fuck.
Jimmy Page was obsessed with Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
And so he bought the house because he was a collector of all things Aleister Crowley. It is said that in the 20 years that Jimmy Page owned the house, he spent no more than 6 weeks there total.